We're good.
All right, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to Government Day for December 2024. Hard to believe. I am Andy Hunthausen, to my left, Commissioner Tom Rawl.
Good morning.
Good morning. Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. Jenny Chambers, Director of Public Works. Candace Payne, Commissioner Candace Payne, and Sheriff Leo Dutt. Yes, who almost made us late today, blame the sheriff.
He was drinking though.
Coffee. We were behind him in line at the coffee. That's right. Right off the bat, we have something special, and I think the town has probably been a bit of a buzz already. I hear there was an event last night that shook the timbers a little bit, which is fantastic. But we would like to have a special recognition of a gentleman that has been a great partner with the county. Bill, we're going to spend a little time talking about you if you're all right with that. But Bill Sear is graduating from the world of work into grandparenting and horseback riding and probably being an all-around nuisance to the community now.
Sure.
But
He's already there.
He's already there. So anyway, Bill, we just really want to tell you how important and how grateful we are for the partnership over the years with the county and all the things that you do for the community of Lincoln. And we have put together a little proclamation. Actually, I have to tell on Zach. He helped us with a lot of the content. But he's going to read it for us today. So this is a proclamation from the commission, but Zach's going to read it into the record for us today. And then we have a copy of it here for you. And we'd like to see if there's anyone else that might want to make a few comments and see if we can embarrass you a little bit. And then we'll call you up. All right, Zach, I'll turn it over to you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Zach Muse, Fire Chief, Lincoln. So, Lewis and Clark County Proclamation in special recognition of Bill Sear. Whereas Bill says goodbye to a long and distinguished career with Montana Department of Conservation and Natural Resources as the Assistant Fire Management Officer in Lincoln. Whereas his 35 years of dedicated state service has saved and protected lives, land, and structures, built lasting partnerships, mentored young firefighters, educated children, and exemplified stewardship. Whereas Bill Sear has been the man in the saddle when it comes to a life of service to the people of Lincoln. Whereas Bill's motivation to volunteer and serve has driven him to leadership roles throughout the community for more than 35 years. And whereas his service as the Lincoln Fire Chief multiple times, a member of Lincoln School Board, the Blackfoot Challenge, Lincoln Prosperity Proposal, Blackfoot Fire Protection Association, has made Bill one of the primary go-to leaders in this community. And whereas when things turn Lincoln upside down, be it a wildfire or another community trauma, Bill can be counted on to be that calming force and the voice of reason. And whereas Bill's ability to know this country like the back of his hand has made him a prominent resource and mentor for all those that seek the woods. And whereas the true cowboy in Bill has driven him to share his love for horses, mules, wagons, and the backcountry with kids young and old that want a taste of the cowboy life. And whereas if it's a trip to the wilderness, a school event, a parade, wedding, prom, Bill has rarely missed an opportunity to help someone out with a special wagon ride or a horse to saddle. And whereas Bill is most comfortable in a saddle alongside family and friends, and we wish him all the best as he rides off into the retirement sunset. And now therefore be it proclaimed by the Lewis and Clark County Board of Commissioners that Bill Sear will be missed, and we thank him for his life of service to Lincoln and celebrate his next adventures of chasing grandkids, punching cows, or just appreciating Montana where it's seen best, from the back of a horse. Be it further proclaimed that today, Friday, December 6th, 2024, is Bill Sear Day in Lewis and Clark County. Congratulations, Bill. Thank you so much for everything you've done for this community, for me personally. It's just, I know you ain't going nowhere, but it's just not the same knowing that you're here and kind of ramrod and things. So, thank you, Bill, very much.
Well, Bill, we're gonna give you the last word, but I bet there's a couple people in the room that might have a few words to say about you to share their experience. And Sheriff, I don't know if you wanna kick it off or not, but yeah, you're
Well,
welcome.
I talked last night, but I never missed an opportunity. This thing doesn't work, but it makes me feel good. Field Dutton, coroner, sheriff, fire warden, gopher, whatever needs done in the county. That's my title. So, Bill Sear, that other than sheriff and coroner, that kind of describes you. Being somewhat you two, the fire or the quasi fire warden. I talked last night about how long that I've known you and known your family. And what I didn't get to mention is I had the honor of officiating in his son's wedding. And they did a really great job with that. So we have known each other a long time. And I you know, it's funny when you get up and say all the appreciations, and you can't go without a little roast. They were saying how nice Bill was and how even-tempered he was, and I'm sitting there laughing, going, yeah, that's true, good Christian man. But I read somewhere that a good Christian man shouldn't own cows or horses. Because when you're working cows, they maybe get a little verbal abused, but still, good Lord forgives us. So, Bill and I have worked with deputies to run them through a horse training school that allows them to discover who they are and to face their fears about something that they may have of taking a 1,500-pound animal and asking it to do what they can. Learning about the equipment, and Bill taught them what all the equipment was and about the horse. And then we had somebody from the Forest Service, Kevin Arnold, help with patrol techniques. But we used all of Bill's stuff. And Bill always helps me out when it comes to fair time and riding horses in the fair. And I appreciate that. Haven't had any lash-ups or anything. So that's been good. Put a dude on a horse and let him go, that's been good. But Bill, you've always been honest and looked at things practical about how to respond, and your advice has been sage. Your family has followed along the same footsteps. Golly, you got a lot of grandkids. I thought there was about 4 families there that brought their kids there, but guess they were. Huh?
There was.
Yeah, they were all yours. So, the blessing is quiverful. You have a blessing. There's other funny stories that I won't take all day to tell, but it's been fun. It's been there's been fires that we've been on that've been kind of sometimes tight situations where maybe I hadn't ordered been, but I was, and we came out of them together. The idea of car wrecks, responding to people that don't know what to do, and helping them, and they look at you as their last hope, and you step up to the plate. You all do. That's not a characteristic attributed to a lot of people. So there still will be people that will call you. I notice you on the phone still. And that'll still happen because nobody's deleting your number. But DNRC has been a good partner for us, good partner for the county. So is Lincoln Fire. I told you I started working with Lincoln Ambulance in the early 90s as a paramedic and working through there. Some of the fire department didn't think it was real important to be an EMT, but they came around. They respond, kept us safe. We went through extrication classes, and you guys came out to watch at first, make sure nobody cut each other or anything exploded, but then it's like, all right, ripping into cars and cutting cars, that's kind of fun. So that was kind of the carrot that all of a sudden they came out and got involved and been involved ever since. Fire is a great partner for wrecks up on Rogers Pass or anywhere here. Other counties depend on it. You've responded. So 35 years is a long time. We went to Bible study together, and I told the story of, I already forgot his name. What is his name?
Ron Kulowski.
That's why I can't remember it. Ron was quite a character. We would be studying certain books of the Bible and talking about people that were causing problems, and Ron's approach was, well, I think we just should go kill them all. And so I affectionately called him Dr. Kevorkian. But nonetheless, his heart was good. So is yours, and 35 years is a long time. Thanks to DNRC for employing you, and the Lincoln community for loving you. Back to you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it very much.
That's 35 years in one office.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
It got remodeled.
Well,
Anyone else like to say a few words about Bill? We'll open the floor here.
I will.
Please, come on up, and we're using the podium because we're recording it, so thank you.
you know him a little bit.
I'm Wanda's here, and I don't speak. Bill does that. That's it. But you guys all know Bill as the community person, the DNRC person, the firefighter person. Well, I know Bill as a husband and a father and a grandfather. And his character in that is pretty much the same as you guys know him. But I remember when Bill first started off with the DNRC, he got the job, he had to go away for a week at fire training, and we had 2 kids at the time, now we have 4, but our youngest son ended up in the hospital, and Bill was gone, and I had to deal with that all by myself. Well, that started a long trend. Every time Bill went away on a fire, something horrible would happen. My horse fell in the water, and Steve Banks couldn't get him out. Ended up pulling him out with a neighbor on the truck with a halter around its neck, which made me cringe, but it worked out okay. Other times Bill would be gone on a fire and the wash machine would overflow. I mean, it never failed. Night before our 3rd son was born, or the morning our 3rd son was born, we rushed to the hospital. Doctor's like, okay, you have this baby, need time. He gets a phone call, there's a fire in Miles City or some god-awful place. But Caleb's born, and he came home baby boy's here, because we hadn't decided on a name. And, but anyway, through all that, what I'm trying to say is, Bill, for as often as he was gone, he made up for it whenever he was home. He was always playing with the kids. We didn't take any summer vacations because of his job. But we made up for it with pack trips in the backcountry, going east for Christmas where my parents are and things like that. And so I am happy to have shared Bill with this community. I think he has been a big asset, but as a dad and as a grandfather and as a husband, there's just none better.
Anyone else? Please, come on up. If you'd introduce yourself.
Yeah, I will, thank you.
Thank you.
Very short and impromptu, but Kristen Baker-Dickinson, I'm the Clearwater Unit Manager. For the past 10 years, I've had the privilege of working with Bill. And I could reiterate what everybody has said, but on behalf of DNRC, I'd just like to simply say that we recognize what a leader you've been in the organization, and you will truly, truly be missed. But I'm gonna save an EFF packet for you, and I wanna see you again. Thank you, Bill.
but your name comes up a lot. People appreciate it, and we appreciate it too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
My comment would be, in addition to appreciation for Bill, you've been able to do what you've been able to do because of that woman in the blue sweatshirt.
Yep.
She is obviously, she's got problem-solving skills that many women would say, oh dear, I couldn't take care of this. And I'll bet she has never done that. She'll say, get out of the way, I can take care of this. And so we appreciate you not only sharing him, but helping him to accomplish the things he has accomplished. So thank both of you.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. I was gonna mention the same thing, that it's really important to have people to back you to be able to do this work, because when you're gone for really important events in your life, in your family life, to have someone that supports you in that, and you give your all to the community over and over and over again for this many years, it's amazing. So, I'm glad that you were here. I'm sorry, I forget your name already.
Wanda.
Wanda, and you're the DNRC. Kristen.
Yeah.
Kristen and Wanda, yeah, sorry. And I'm glad you were here as well, because, Bill's work life and the 35 years of service to DNRC is one thing, but that service then, is service to the community. And being here in Lincoln, the same office, remodeled, but same office, is really important, because that consistency and the relationships and partnerships that you've developed over the years, and the mentoring. I mean, Zach and I were kind of, as we went back and forth on some of the stuff we were going to put in this proclamation, you mentioned how many people that you've mentored in this community, and essentially been their pseudo, father in a sense, and brought them up through the ranks and that kind of thing, through fire or whatever it might be. And it's just important, and the backbone of the community is the people that really care and step up and are there for everything and every day, and show their worth and really make a difference. So, Bill, and the last thing I'll say is that some of this, I've given Zach a lot of credit, but I've been hounded. I'm literally hounded by Commissioner Murray. What are you going to do for Bill? Are you going to do a proclamation? When's it going to happen? When are you going to? So he thinks the world of you, and he couldn't be here today. And I'll maybe catch you after and give you a little more information. But he thinks the world of you, and he wanted to be here, was planning to ride up with us today, and just said, man, the guy in the partnerships. I mean, what can you say? He's been the bread and butter, salt and pepper of this community, all those things. So thank you very much, Bill, for the partnership with the county. I know that we wouldn't be able to do, as Commissioner Rolfe said, wouldn't be able to function at the level we would like to serve the community without all the partnerships we have, and to be able to turn to something and say, hey, can you tell us what happens with this? Give us the history, and you're just right there all the time, and the sheriff can attest to that for events that they have in the backcountry or wherever it might be. Bill's always stepped up and assisted, so thank you very much for all of that. And with that, if you'd like to say anything, we'd love to have you come up here and give us the old 1-2. Tell us about your next adventures.
This is where Leo and I are a lot alike. Never miss a chance to talk, right?
You hardly talk.
Bill's here, Lincoln person. Well, thank you very much for all that. Sitting here kind of thinking about, I don't know, whatever I want to say. I tell quite a few of you that work with me have heard this recently, but I tell people I took this job 35 years ago, kind of until I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I've recently figured out what I want to be when I grow up, and that's grandpa. So that's what I'm going to go do. The other thing I wanted to say, and I'm going to look at everybody at this table, and several of you in the back here. I took this job, and I, say this in front of my boss. I've tried to never be the state guy in Lincoln. I've really tried my whole career to be the Lincoln guy at the state. And I think as public servants, and that's really what we are, we have to remember who it is that we're serving. we've fought, we've argued, we've had, as a community, we've had some bumps along the way, but we work it out and pull together when we need to, and we get her done. And it's been fun over the years being part of that, helping with that, whatever that solution we needed to find was. And, yeah, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm gonna just take a different road for a while and have some fun, and I appreciate it. I thank you for letting me be your state guy here in Lincoln. You got Lincoln guy trying to buffer between our community and the bureaucracy known as the state. So, thank you again.
Thank you, Bill. We're gonna give you the proclamation. We'd like you to come right up here. We're gonna come around and get a picture with you. Wow. And you gotta hold that right in front, Commissioner. Stand around it.
Stand here.
Yeah, come on, sure. The skinny guy, I'll get the skinny guy right in here.
Okay, big smiles. Okay.
All right, that's not the last one though. Now, if there's any Lincoln partners like Zach, whoever would like to come up and be in a picture with Wanda, we need you. Kristen, we need you up here. You bet. Get in here, yeah, get up. I'll get over here on the other side. There we go. Yeah, you step forward there. There you go.
Oh, you were supposed to be in here too?
He's gonna end up in there anyways. 'Cause
Good.
he's standing. He'll be the only one not looking at the camera.
I have a face for radio.
But this won't be the last to see it.
Probably not.
What do we do? I think we should call Bill. He'll have a-
Thank you for being here. Yeah, thanks for sharing all these years. All right.
Do we go home now?
Yeah, it'd be a great way to end, but gosh darn it, we've got a little more to do, so we'll move on. Thank you again, everyone, and continue to celebrate a great work life. All right, we'll move on to reports, and Sheriff, gosh darn it, you're up again. No, you hardly had a chance to.
Yeah,
sit,
hardly have
and
a
you're
chance
back
to
up.
have the mic. So, as you know, sometimes I lead off with a good joke and sometimes I don't, but nonetheless, there's jokes. So, gotta tell you about a life event that Andy and his brother Dan, some of this might be fictional, but it's a good story. So, Andy and his brother Dan had a landscaping business, and they got a little bit of a contract for working for this high society ladies group, and it was they were in charge of the interpretive dance in Helena. Anyway, they were out there mowing the lawn and all of their yard tools and things like that. And if this joke offends you, I'm sorry about that, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. So they were out there working away, and they're getting ready to leave, and the lady calls Andy in and says, "That looks really good. We're really impressed with that. By the way, I think we would like to hire you again, only you know that we're in charge of the interpretive dance, right?" "Yeah, yeah." And they looked out there, and his brother Dan's out there, and I said, "Well, we'd like to hire you to do that dance. I mean, that's incredible." "No, your brother, you and your brother obviously do this as a team." "Okay." I said, "I don't think so." I said, "Well, we'll pay you $5,000 to come perform at our next interpretive dance." $5,000, I mean, he's young, like, okay, all right, we'll take it. So, he goes out, Dan, we got paid. We might not have to work. He said, I got good news, but I got some bad news. And, give me the good news first, Andy. Well, we got paid to do this job, and we got paid to do another one, an interpretive dance. This interpretive dance, yeah, that's the good news. $5,000. What's the bad news? You gotta get hit in the berries with the rake handle again. So, anyway, like I said, a little off color, but it was funny when I heard it. So, the sheriff's office has been busy. I don't know, I'd love to get up here and tell you, you know, that, oh, Kelly, you're overpaying us and we got nothing to do, but I can't. There's plenty of work to do in the coroner's office, the sheriff's office, and from my perspective, it's I get to watch over policy, administration, and then I get to watch over our folks. One of the harder parts for me is taking care of the people who you pay for, and that is their mental health and their physical health. So sometimes I see these rock-hard men and women working out, but on the inside, they're crumbling. So we have started some mental health. We've got some money from the county commission about being able to use your phone and dial up and check in with a mental health therapist. But it's a real deal, and it's even harder in a smaller community where you know everyone. But the things that you see in just in a month is some things that people never see in a lifetime. If they do, they're traumatized. But people of this job and first responder job are exposed to that on a common basis. So that's been something we've dealt with. On a little lighter subject, your detention center has been full. We worked with Department of Corrections to finally get some people out of there because they had been sentenced and they were just sitting there because the Department of Corrections didn't have room. But through the Montana Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, that collective organization of sheriffs and deputies from across the state have met, and Director Gukin is a friend of mine and understands it's at a feverish pitch. We were overcrowded at our highest. We have 160 beds and we were at 210. And we're back to where we were when we first started. And it's not that we're got overzealous people arresting people. Helena is growing. If you look at the stats about how much the state is growing, that even if you go to Los Angeles, you're going to see that you can't hardly get down 19th Street in the same day. But you can. It just takes a long time. Missoula's the same thing. I think that's where 19th Street is. No, that's Reserve. Anyway, I'm good at math. But the idea is, if you grow by 15,000, the statistics are going to tell you about 15,500 of those people are going to be my guests. And that's not the coroner's office, that's the sheriff's office, the crime, and crime prevention. So I'm the chairman of the crime prevention board, and we met yesterday and talked about what we can do, and where we're an agency that takes federal money and funds it through grant applications to government agencies. The things that are hitting us the worst are fentanyl. We still have fentanyl-related deaths. We still have a lot of crimes against people, and this one's a hard one to talk about. It's about crimes against children and the sex crimes that we have to deal with. We have an internet crimes against children detective, but that's all he does, is deal with that. The predators that are online, they're trying to get your grandkids, and we're trying to go after them. Sometimes they're in the United States, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're in your own community. And what we'll do is sometimes we'll work with the FBI and we'll have a little fishing expedition. And we'll see if we can find them and catch them before they damage your child. So that's the underbelly of your community. On the bright side, we had a apples versus donuts, and that is a team from the sheriff's office that plays teachers out in East Helena. And I'm gonna go need to recruit some brothers on our team, because we didn't win. I need some height and some speed. Those teachers, they're young and they fast. Anyway, so maybe it is, but it's a opportunity for us to raise money for the Lewis and Clark County Foundation. It's a nonprofit foundation that we can use at the county. We can use that money to pay for things that the county can't, and to help when we see somebody such as it sponsors Heroes and Helpers, and that's where the deputies see families that don't have money for Christmas presents. So we'll get that list. We have about 100. We'll invite firefighters and police officers in, and we'll take kids in and go shopping. I've done that, do it each year, and you think, oh, you know, you give them $100, and they get $100, and we're gonna head to the candy aisle and load up on Hershey. But they don't. They never do. They might get a roll, they might get Lifesavers, but where they head, first place they head to is a toy. But they're taking a toy for their brother or sister. They rarely get one for themselves. And then if they have money, then we're heading to the clothing aisle because they want a coat. They want shoes. Well, they don't have to buy shoes because we've also raised money and worked with a shoe store. We take them and they get a pair of free shoes. And we work with Home Depot. We head there and they can pick out some things that the parents can pick out things. Some parents will show up and drop them off, and we don't see them for 2 hours. So we know we're a little bit of a babysitting outfit, but they get a break, and the child loves it, and it's fun, it really is. But I've learned, no offense, Ms. Commissioner, my little 7-year-old little girl, it's a genetic thing. Women cannot go in and pick out a pair of shoes. They can't. They gotta look at the whole dang school. They just do.
And that's bad because, why is that bad?
7 years old, and we were 10 shoes into it, and 10 pair of shoes. And finally, this sales lady came over and says, I think I can help. I says, thank God. I'm out of patience, but I go in, find a pair of shoes I like, let's go. But this little girl, she ended up getting the first pair she tried on. Bless her heart. Anyway, that goes on all day. So that's some of the money we use for dare camp. Last time we had dare camp up here in Lincoln, and that's for kids have an opportunity to come up and we have games that are, but they're confidence building games, like a rope course, things like that, different things that are designed for that. And it's not paid by taxes, it's privately funded, meaning we go out and fundraise for it. So that's what we do with that. That's a positive thing. Other positive things, I'm involved in the Western State Sheriff's Association, where we partner with 18 other states. We take on federal issues. We have a seat at the federal table, such as land use, Forest Service. We deal with Forest Service a lot. We deal with BLM a lot. And we deal with other issues that we find that we have in common with 18 states, all west of the Mississippi. And then I'm a member of the National Sheriff's Association. And those things, sometimes Congress will, I know you're talking to Congress to get an idea that maybe not totally accurate, such as having phones in a detention center and how much a provider, we have phones in there now, we have tablets, and an inmate can make a call that costs them. An inmate can we have to provide an access to a law library. They can use that tablet for a law library. They check it out as to them personally. So if it's damaged, we have to try to recoup that. Now, you as citizens don't pay for that. We contract with a company, and the company charges a fee for that, and then they also pay us some money, and that money goes back into inmate medical. For inmates who cannot pay for the medical cut that rate down to where the private company's going, we can't afford that, we're just gonna pull out. I'm not statutorily required to have a phone in the detention center, I could have a payphone. And that would be it, they could line up and use a payphone. What we're trying to do is give a quality of life, because those people are getting out, coming back into your community. So that's why it's not mollycoddling them, but it's a help, and it helps reduce liability. But anyway, the National Sheriff's Association lobbied against that, and I think that we are making headway of like, okay, let's be reasonable. There were some companies overcharging for those minutes and things like that. So but let's be reasonable. And people were saying, well, the counties are just, they're taking that money and partying with it. It's absolutely not true. There's a state law requires us to put that money back into state medical, or into inmate medical. So that's an insight of just a little bit of what we do and what we do for you. And it's, sometimes it's a thankless job, but the people who work in the detention center, speaking of that, I've got a guy retiring from the detention center with 20 years of service. I kind of liken that to 20 years is kind of like dog years, because it's hard. So it's 20 years, but I really put in 47. I don't, maybe Bill, I don't think it's like working for DNRC, I think it's completely different. But it's a hard job. Sean Whitman, I also have another guy retiring. His name is Matt. We have two guys with similar names. Boudreaux, yeah. The other one, like I call him Aju because it's Boudreaux, so I always get him goofed up. So Boudreaux is his name, and he's retiring with 20 years. And then somebody who has more of a sense of humor than me, if you believe that, is Kevin Wright. He's retiring with 22 years, 1 year in Rosebud County, and so he's got 23 total, but he's retiring. He's going to work as a salesman. If you know Kevin, you're thinking, what? A salesman? I mean, he's got to talk to people? And it's like a dream job for him. But anyway, we'll be retiring. We'll have, we'll be at the commission on the 12th. They're going to do something similar, and I appreciate that. 20 years in law enforcement, some legislature think that's not right, that we should work 30 or 35 years. But I sure invite them for a ride along. I mean, I sure do. Anyway, that's what's going on. That's the most. And now you got a little explanation. As Paul Harvey used to say, now you know the rest of the story. Chairman.
Thank you, Sheriff. Anybody have any questions or comments for the sheriff? If you do, we have to do the whole parade up to the podium because we're recording, and we're required to do that now via the last legislative session. So we can't just talk from our chairs like we used to. But if anybody has questions or comments for the sheriff, please let us know. Come on up. Okay, commissioners, anything you want?
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Sheriff, I'll just say one thing. You mentioned the detention center, and we have a committee. It's called, I can't remember. We're looking at the population of the detention center, trying to reduce the population in the detention center. So there's a couple of judges, Troy Christensen, the jail commander's on there, myself, the county attorney, our criminal justice services coordinator, and some other staff, and state probation and parole, state defense attorneys, those guys. Anyway, we've been meeting and just talking about where we have opportunity to reduce the population. So it might be a state detainee that could be transferred to another state program, or that opens up the prison or whatever, if that's the case. And the judges are looking at how they're doing things, why they're doing things. And so we're just looking at the whole system and trying to find ways that we can reduce the population and serve people alternatively. So if they don't need to be in jail, if they're not a threat to our community or a risk of flight, is there another way we can possibly serve them in the community without taking up a jail bed and costing all of us more money? But also, we usually have, well, as the sheriff knows, the longer you're in the detention center, the worse the outcomes potentially for folks statistically. So better chance they have coming back the longer they're there. So we want to get them out of there as soon as we can, serve them in the community, but still hold them accountable and make sure that we keep the community safe. So it's a balancing act, but we're all looking at it and trying to find ways to do that. So anyway, thank you, Sharon. Next, community council, Zach.
Zach Muse, Chair of Community Council. Not a lot that, again, it's not Public Works. I'll let Jim handle that. Obviously, we know Dalton Mountain Bridge is open. Much better days ahead with that being open for all of us. We did talk about, it's a Safe Streets, I think I mentioned it just briefly last government day, the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, and it's something that the county is gonna pursue, I think, it's part of the Biden-Harris infrastructure, or the bipartisan infrastructure bill. They gave out $5 billion nationwide. And it's for community-led projects. I think in Montana, the only places that have been recipients of that are the reservation, a couple of the reservations, Flathead, Blackfoot, and maybe, I don't want to, but I have her as well. But what it does is and it can't be just for Lincoln, so if they apply, it would be for the county. And it comes up with safety plans and ideas for communities to help make it safer, like crosswalks, traffic signage, lighting, walking paths, things like that, and how it does it. This kind of, it gives you a chance to try something to see if it works. So DOT gets, they're a big part of it, and because they have the knowledge and know how these things work, so, the technical experience. So you put in a crosswalk, you try it for a while. Is it being used? Is it helping achieve what we want to achieve? No? Okay, well then we won't do that. So it gives you that trial period to see if things are gonna work, if the community likes it, if it benefits us. Otherwise, you end up with putting in permanent crosswalks that nobody uses, and it's just a waste of money, that could be used somewhere else. So hopefully, the spring, you get apply or whatever. Hopefully they're successful and it'll benefit not just Lincoln, but all of the county where it needs to be done. So we'll keep you informed of where that goes. Other than that, not much more for the community council, but I did want to touch on a couple things. The vet center here in town. I don't know if a lot of you, and if you're not a vet, maybe you don't even notice, but if you know vets, please tell people about it. It's a huge resource for Lincoln. And in a crisis situation, or it's not even just for vets, they will help whoever they can help with an immediate need. I had a person this morning come in, as you know, people come and see me and ask me everything that doesn't pertain to the post office when I'm at work, which is fine. But a vet came in today and was asking me how to log into the vets, the My Healthy Vet, which is what we use for communicating with the VA. And they're changing to everybody's, all the hacking and, identity theft and everything. Everyone's getting really secure on how they log into different websites. And so they're changing it to login.gov, which is a federal deal where they can check who you are and verify everything. But he was asking me about that, and I said, if you have questions like this, you really should go to the vet center. He's like, what vet center? I said, you drive by it 4 times a day. He says, where? It's with all the wood out front and the sign, everything. I said, never noticed it. So that's what we have. It's for the way I kind of got involved in it was due to some previous mental health issues with a veteran in town. And we're trying to prevent some things that happened with that person from happening to other vets and anyone really. And we just did a big training. The VA doesn't have the resources to send a team up here when somebody's in crisis. So that falls on us emergency responders and friends and family. And we're not always equipped or trained to be able to handle these mental health issues, because with mental health, as Leo can attest, not saying you're mental, but well, maybe, but every person's different. And you can have 10 veterans, let's just say Army Special Forces, exact same age, all male, have the same traumatic experience, they all got blown up, and all 10 of those people are gonna have a different outcome. Some are just like, yeah, whatever, shit happens. The next guy, you know, he's scarred for life and can't function in society. So it's very difficult to be able to know, to learn how to understand these people when they're in this crisis. So all you can really do is get trained on the big picture, and we don't have time to go to training for, you know, each individual problem. I mean, you're talking years of training that you would have to go to. So we're trying to get to where we can at least help them find where we can get them more help. And this vet center is gonna be huge for that for Lincoln. I wish every town could have something like this, because mental health is a huge problem in our community, our country, and it just gets worse day by day. So if you know anybody that's a vet, mention it to them. Just even you guys that are not vets, stop in, say hi, check it out, see what's there. I mean, they've got everything from, they're getting a communication system, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like 25 grand, where if you're needing help, you're having a, you know, crisis, go into a room, you can communicate with those people anywhere around the world, really, on like a Zoom kind of deal. There's video games, they have secure storage. If you know somebody that's a veteran, not even a veteran, but if someone's in a crisis mode, they have guns. Montana doesn't have laws where you can, the sheriff can just go in and say, hey, you know, we're gonna take your guns until you get better. It's more of a, hey, can we help you? Do you mind us putting these away for you for a while? And, you know, unfortunately, and I'm very, very pro Second Amendment, and I have a lot of guns, but being in the world we are in as far as responders and whatnot, you see things that there needs to be common sense with it. Red flag laws they're needed everywhere, so that you can help that person get through their crisis, take those guns away for a little while. And unfortunately for us, you've got to get a court to be able to do that, and it's not just like asking a judge, hey, can you do this, take his guns away for a while. It doesn't work that easy, unfortunately. Problem is that people don't trust the government, and you give them an inch, they take a mile, and you keep taking another mile and another mile, and it just gets worse. But if people could see what we see day in, day out, I think they'd be a little more apt to understand why we want to have those laws. But if you know anybody, they do have a big safe to put the guns away, so get them through this crisis. Just stop in there and check it out. It's huge for this community and the Blackfoot Valley, really. So I think that's about all I have.
Thank you, Zach, appreciate it very much. Anyone, comments, questions for Zach? Commissioner Payne?
Zach, the vet center, is it like open 9 to 5, or do you have to make an appointment, or is somebody there all the time?
There's someone there Monday through Friday, and on the weekends as well at times. If And I think the numbers on the door and everything, if it's 11 o'clock at night, make that call, they'll be down there.
Okay.
And it's staffed by volunteers, and the one, Eric, who's kind of ramrod the whole thing, he's got the numbers all the way to Washington DC, so if you're not getting help, and he will make it happen. He's nationally recognized for his ability to make things happen.
Great. Questions? Any other questions, comments? Really appreciate you and the community council.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
Third Tuesday of every month, 6:30 right here, if you would like to get involved. Otherwise, we make the decisions on how things are done. We'd rather have the people make the decisions.
Yeah, come get involved. Thank you, Commissioner, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Yarborough, Forest Service.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
You
Hello,
bet.
everybody, Jim Yarborough, Lake District Ranger. Do not have a lot to report today. Thankfully, we are opening gates for snowmobiles. What we're doing is we're following what the groomer can do. If the groomer can go out there and groom the trails without damaging their machine, we're gonna open the gate for those folks. Then you can also, then the snowmobiles can also travel the same routes. So we're opening gates up on Big Mountain and up in the Copper, at the end of Copper Creek Road and up Beaver Creek, but we're not opening anything on Dalton right now. So Dalton's gonna remain closed for a little while longer until we get enough snow for that groomer. So that's it. So far as the recreation piece goes, up Copper Creek Road, that is gonna go back to the contractor, or to a contractor. So what happened is that contract didn't go. The price came in at double the engineer's estimate. The engineer's estimate was multi-million. The price came in at double to 2.5 times more than multi-million. We don't have the money for that. We have less money now than we did at the time of the bid. So it has to go back in through IAS, which is an acquisition system, goes into the system. The proposal goes into the system. Within that system are a group of COs. Each CO has a bunch of contracts. The system will choose a CO, or whoever's in charge of it will choose a CO. It goes to the CO. The CO will then solicit out to the street a contractor. It's usually Haney from like Great West or DJ, one of those folks, to do the new design for Copper Creek Road. That's where we stand right now. It's going into the system. There's a deadline. I think it's in January. It has to be in before then. So, because it's over $1 million. That's Copper Creek Road. That's what I know.
This is for taking it back to dirt.
Grinding it back to dirt.
What's a CO?
Contracting officer.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. Any questions for?
Yes, sir.
doing slash burns?
Oh, yes, we're burning piles. Around the area, we burnt some we've been all over the place.
Up by the cemetery?
Up by the cemetery from the fire this summer, there was a bunch of slash up there. We burnt those piles. We burnt piles over by Nevada, up on Nevada Creek, by the cabin. And we
I seen smoke this morning.
Dalton,
I don't know.
they burned piles. Somebody else is burning out there in that country too, I think. It might be the
Logger.
state's burning.
Private.
Private, so that might be the smoke, I don't know. And then we burnt up Beaver Creek a little bit. Where else have they been?
Alice
All over the
Creek,
place.
Indian Meadows.
Alice was a while ago.
West
Yeah,
Flushing.
the road reroutes.
West Flusher this week.
Yep,
Lots of questions.
all over the place. It's just pile burning. So one day it's done.
If I could add to that a little bit. As you can see, we don't have much snow out there. And the open south-facing slopes and anywhere where the sun can get to it, that grass will burn. So fire season really isn't over yet, so keep that in mind. If you're gonna burn your piles, keep them small, because, you know, where it's out 10 hours later, not the big piles where they burn for a week. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm getting texts every day from Helena Dispatch for responding to warming fires, right? All over the front, all down by Helena, and even out in the root country. they're still burning, the fires are still going, they're not getting big or anything, they're jumping and running, but they're smoldering and stuff around.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you being here.
I have a question, but
Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Here.
You'd introduce yourself.
Kathy Mann, and my question is, I don't know if it's for you or not. I walk with Ethel over on Lone Point Drive, and all through hunting season, they're shooting right in the area of the homes. We were wondering who we talked to about possibly closing that over there. There's more homes in that area than people probably believe. We walked and they're shooting, they're leaving the gut piles, and it's bringing the bears in.
And they're parking anywhere they want.
And they park on private property, they just walk wherever they want. Then when they shoot, when they say on state land, they gut it out on private property. Where do we go? Bonnie, one of our walkers, who's in Missoula today, walked out at 8 o'clock to feed her cats, and the shooting was right on back of her property. So she put on an orange vest. Well, we heard the shooting, but we weren't over at her house. So what do we do? I mean, on the this side of the highway is bow. Why can't it be bow over there?
Thank you. We'll try and answer your question the best we can in just a second. Let's see if there's any others for Jim before we go, and I don't think Jim's the guy to answer it, but this one. So Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is likely they're the overseer of hunting and those kinds of things and
Lake Street
regulations.
subdivision and state land on one side and national forest on the other. We're surrounded by this.
Right.
So it's a subdivision right in the middle of it.
I'd probably contact the district warden.
Yeah.
That was me in this area, the game warden, whoever patrols this area, as far as law enforcement with FWP.
Right, and I don't know if there's any
We would-
advice from you. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, we would, so the camera can see me, I want that clear. Anyway, we would respond, we'll turn that case over to Fish and Game, and look in usually you have to get out to Onyx or see what property they're on. But to make it a no shooting area, you would have to go through subdivision regulations to make it a no shooting area. When we get into that, while we were here, we were there, that's what the Fish and Game is supposed to do. But if we will deal with, there's bullets flying by my head or things like that, that's us. For that immediate response, glad you put on your hunter's orange. And if it becomes a public safety issue, I think that's where the county can address, or you can approach them about no shooting in that subdivision, posting and that kind of stuff. But if you're afraid, give us a call. We're probably gonna hand that off to the
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. I think that's exactly right. That there is a tip line as well, hunter's tip line. So if somebody's doing something, hunting illegally, hunting off a road, hunting on private property, and the gut piles and all that, I think there's the protocol for how to clean your animal and all that kind of stuff. So that Fish, Wildlife, and Parks would be the ones. And then they have, I say jurisdiction, I don't know exactly how it works, but on state lands, they would have jurisdictions over, the type of hunting that can happen on a particular section and all that. They determine whether it's bow or elk or, spot, what you can hunt there, rifle or not. But if somebody's doing something on private property,
That's us.
call the sheriff, and it's a great way to get engaged. And then if becomes a Fish, Wildlife, and Park thing, as the sheriff said, they can get.
They're trespassing, that's us.
Yeah, for sure.
Or parking,
Or, maybe there are some rules around hunting on that section and they're not following them. I mean, that would be Fish and Game. So,
Well, years ago, we only had about 5 homes in the subdivision, now we
Yeah.
probably have 40.
yeah.
So when their bullets start flying, you don't know where to go.
And that could be a request for future, changes for that section or whatever they can
We
call
have
it.
one of our
hopefully they can get something done. We just wanted to know where we could add,
Yeah.
who we could prod to get something done, because it's becoming more and more local.
I would suggest that you approach your Forest Service representative about getting a law enforcement representative here.
I can speak to that. That's why I've actually requested law enforcement from the chief of Forest Service. So that's, things are changing, as we know, and I'll request it a second time. But, because we're gonna have some new personnel in Washington coming up. So,
Yeah.
So support your local ranger. Forest Service guy.
But I think we will definitely inquire, Jenny just mentioned, from a public works perspective as well. And we have a DNRC, can you?
Yeah, I can actually speak to the state.
Yeah,
Are you
we-
done with your?
I think so. Come on out, it's all yours.
I can provide a brief explanation regarding recreational use, including shooting on DNRC trust lands. So under statute, there is actually Kristen Baker Dickinson, Clearwater Unit Manager, Lincoln Field Office. Under state statute, there is a firearms discharge restriction within a quarter mile of occupied structures from state land. I've spoken to the local warden. We do plan on posting along Norris and North Lincoln Gulch roads in order to try to facilitate stopping some of the more honest folks from shooting within that area. It does fall to the warden to manage unsafe practices, and we will continue to work with him. In terms of changing the use beyond that quarter mile, it's a more thorough process in which we would need to impose further restrictions upon that trust land parcel, and that includes a fairly lengthy public process that would need to be approved by DNRC leadership. So it's certainly something that we would consider, but it's going to take some time. And so the time to work on it is now, before next hunting season. But we do intend to, at a minimum, start posting the area more thoroughly so that there's greater protection in place.
Thank you very much. Sounds like the word's out, you've been heard, and there's some action in process. So, thank you, thanks for bringing that up today. All right, appreciate it. We'll move on to Public Works. Ginny.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name again is Jane Chambers, Park County Public Works Director. I don't have a ton for you guys. I mean, we're in the transition between the different seasons. We're ready for winter, so as soon as you get more snow and more weather, we're geared up and ready to go. I did want to highlight one thing. So I know I've talked about this in the past. With a lot of the COVID issues and the supply chain issues across the nation, it took us a long time in the county to get the snow plows in that we needed. So we are successful. We've got all 4 snow plows. They're all built. They're ready to hit the ground running. That means that we are able to now surplus our older snow plows, which are 1994, 1996, and get those on the auction or get those in use of other counties within Montana if they're interested, and get that revenue back into our capital improvement plan for future equipment needs. So we're ready to go. We got brand new stinking snow plows. The old ones are getting ready to get surplused out, and we're going to move forward. One of the things we've offered with the older snow plows is to try to benefit others within Lewis and Clark County. So we contacted the cities, City of Helena, City of East Helena. City of East Helena is interested in buying one of the 1994 snow plows. There's a recent statute, probably a couple years ago, that allows road equipment to be surplused and transferred with the sale to other local governments if they're interested. So previous about 3 or 4 years ago, we didn't have the ability to do that in the county. Now we do. So the commissioners are going to hear a notice of intent on December 12th of a surplus transfer and sale of this older snowplow, 1994 I believe it is, to the City of East Helena. And then that goes out for a public comment period, and then we'll come back and do the resolution to approve that, depending upon if there's any protests or risks associated with that. So it's pretty exciting because we're the first time we're using that particular statute to allow that ability. And the benefit is that it's still a well-maintained snowplow because my shop mechanic staff have maintained that really well. And it's going to go to a neighboring community within the county to benefit those taxpayers in that area as well. So I wanted to highlight that. We do have 3 others that we have available. We're gonna start conversation with Jefferson County and Broadwater County first, and then from there, we might just open it up to others or to get it on the auctions for surplus. So we're trying to get it to utilize, to benefit folks within in Lewis and Clark County, our neighbors, and then also folks that might be driving in and out of the county that are coming in from our neighboring counties. So I wanted to highlight that a little bit. The other thing I wanted to mention, and we kind of saw some of that today, is a lot of conversations about retirement. So folks are getting many, many years in, like Mr. Bill Sear with the public sector. That's not unusual for even county employees. So the month of December here, I have 3 staff that are retiring out of Public Works. They've got their service of time in, they move things forward. What that means is I'm going to be down 1 construction coordinator that has over 35, 40 years of construction experience. It's 17 years within the county. I've got 2 equipment operators in the Helena area, senior equipment operators that are also retiring. So it leaves me 3 vacancies from retirements that it's crucial to try to get filled. And I've got another gentleman that's been a great asset within the county, another construction coordinator in our rural improvement district, Caleb Marcus. He's actually accepted a position, he's moving to Great Falls. He's from the Great Falls area and he's just moving back to be closer to family. So none of them are leaving because they're disgruntled or pissed off at the county or trying to figure out what we're trying to do within Public Works. They're just moving on to better, bigger things. So with that, they're all on the website, they're all posted. If you know anybody that's looking for jobs, in the construction, a couple of them require CDLs, which are kind of tough to get, but just wanted to kind of highlight that. What it means is it does not impact our operations now. We'll be covered through the winter. My bridge crew, my bridge staff are also equipment operators that have CDLs. They can help backfill for snow plowing and snow removal work in the winter. But if we don't get those positions filled by this spring, summer, it's definitely going to impact us as far as hitting the ground running. So I'm hoping that we get it posted, get the position filled, get them trained up, and come March, April, we'll be fully staffed again. So that's the goal. And the last thing I want to end with, because I kind of be really sad because I'm not going to be able to provide this update for every monthly meeting I've been doing for the last 2.5 years that I've been in Public Works, is I'm not going to be able to talk about Dalton Mountain Bridge. So I'm ending on my note today because November, it wasn't quite done yet when we were up here for Government Day. It is now done. The bridge is open, it's in good shape. The riprap and the work that MDT did looks really great. It is now handed back over to the county, substantially complete. So if you guys see anything on Dalton Mountain Bridge, if somebody hits one of the guardrails, if you see something that looks like it's not holding up as far as erosion or the riprap, please let us know. Please give us a call so we can get out there and take a look at that so that thing can be maintained moving forward. So wanted to end on a positive note. Dalton Mountain Bridge is done. The detour is taken down. It's been opened up and it's back in the county hands, and we'll continue to maintain it as we move forward. So.
Jenny, I think you missed this morning's memo. We have to close it for 6 weeks to paint the stripes on it. No.
And I'm not ordering that all.
Thank you very much. How about comments or questions for Jenny from Public Works? Thank you
Yes.
very much. All right, how about Public Health? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nina Heinzinger. I'm the licensed establishment supervisor. So I oversee the health inspectors that come up here to Lincoln and all the other parts of our county. As you may be aware, we have 29 licensed establishments up here in the Lincoln area. And that includes, people are like, 29? Yeah, because it includes not only your restaurants and your coffee shops, but also your public accommodations, your trailer courts, campgrounds. Lincoln does not have a pool. It's one of our few communities that does not have a pool. But we do come up and inspect those facilities usually once a year. Usually during the summertime. We're not usually up here during the winter time, unless we're working with a new owner or someone like that. This year, we haven't really opened any new establishments. We've had some change of ownerships up here in the Lincoln area recently, but it's pretty much been just ongoing operations. And our inspections are really meant to verify that people have the proper things in place to prevent any sorts of outbreaks. And you've probably been hearing about lots of outbreaks recently in the news, mostly due to products that have gotten through the system nationally, that have come in contaminated with things like salmonella or E. coli. But we, on the ground, are trying to make sure that at least in our establishments, we're not introducing those items into our food supply and people getting sick. So we do work with our local establishments if things are recently, cucumbers were recalled, so we did reach out to establishments that were affected by that recall. And so I think the main thing that I want to emphasize is that we're really here in partnership with you guys here in the community. To let us know if you see something that's concerning. You can always reach out to the health department. All our restaurant inspections are available online on our website. We've tried to make them easier for people to find. They used to be buried like 20 pages down. Now if you go to the public health website on the county page, there is something that says restaurant inspections there. So if you're curious about what your local food shops have done, hopefully in the next year or two, you'll be able to see all of the inspections we do as the state transitions to a new inspection system, hopefully this next year. So, questions or concerns for the public health department?
And I just want to say thanks because it is a really important thing that happens in the background. You know, people joke about, the health department's coming in and checking things, but if they didn't, we could be in some sort of risk. And so inspecting our restaurants, making sure that our food supply is safe is really important for all of us. And I like the way that we do it, and that was the point I was going to get to, is that even if, say, you or I walked into a restaurant, noticed something that's like, wow, this is really dirty, or they're not taking care of their equipment, I wonder if their food that they're producing is safe. If that's reported to the health department, they come in with partnering gloves, I'd say. They come in and say, how can we help you? This has been noticed. How can we help you? How can we get in compliance? How can we give you the education and training that you would need to make sure that your place is safe? And it's not till long down the line, if somebody ignores that assistance, that they would ever get, enforcement kind of in nature. So it's a lot more, how do we help you make sure that you're safe, you can serve your customers the best and safely?
Yeah, and we are really here to educate our operators and work with them in terms of best practices. And those have changed over time, but we rely on the community to let us know if there's something of concern. Because we're not in the establishment every day, and a lot of the concerns that come up are very important that they get investigated, and we want to work with those operators and be able to get in and figure out what's going wrong in the system, and what needs to happen to address those concerns. Because over 70% of foodborne outbreaks are actually from these 10 things. When they go back and look nationally, handling of food with bare hands is probably the thing that leads to most of our foodborne outbreaks across the U.S. So we do hopefully work with you, so feel free to reach out to us if you see something concerning. And we just want you guys to have good food. Maybe eventually you might attract a few more establishments up here, but it's an interesting place to come and do business.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm Rick Foreman, commander of the American Legion Post
Yeah.
here in town. and I work with other organizations. If, say, 4th of July, the senior class wants to sell hot dogs or cookies, or is there a requirement to get a temporary permit, or,
So,
you
it
know, if you wanna
depends
do a
on,
hot dog sale, or like Veterans Day, we do a chili feed?
yeah, it depends on the organization. A lot of organizations are exempt up to 4 days from any sort of requirements. Our nonprofits, there's no fee for that temporary, and we try to work with them in terms of education, really, in terms of things. So we really like it if you do reach out, but there are some exemptions in the law, especially for our veterans groups, patriotic groups, and churches, and different groups that, you know, obviously, and especially if people have questions, even if we're not providing a permit, we always want to be able to provide that education, how to handle the food safely, and like cooking your burgers. Things like that. Because unfortunately, burgers are one of those things nowadays actually are not as related to foodborne outbreaks because we're controlling E. coli in the burgers themselves. Our supply is constantly tested. People know to cook their burgers thoroughly. So we are seeing those outbreaks in other products that aren't cooked, like produce and such. So.
Another question up here.
Yeah, talk to me about bed bugs. Is that, okay, because you inspect hotels, and I was trying to figure out why in the world are they inspecting hotels? And then somebody said, actually it was my son, stayed in a hotel out in the oil patch and came home, suitcase had bed bugs in it, his wife was just, well, anyway, can you talk to us about that?
Okay, so bed bugs are usually reported to us as a complaint. We are not necessarily seeing them when we're inspecting because we're not inspecting every single room in a hotel. We usually try to see about 10% of the rooms or so in terms of that inspection. But a lot of our hotels, I don't know about Lincoln, but in Helena, a lot of times they are almost completely full. But we do follow up on complaints. We work with the operator. We make sure that they have gotten the place treated by a professional in terms of that bed bug mitigation, because it is very important that they do not just the room that's affected, but the surrounding rooms so that the bed bug doesn't move next door. Unfortunately, we do not regulate apartments or things like that, and that's actually a lot of times we are trying to work with individuals that are living in apartments or other living situations and getting them working with like Montana Legal Services Association, because that's under the Montana to that. So we try to connect them to other resources because bed bugs are a problem, and it is a resurgent problem that obviously you can bring home with you. I advise people when they go to hotels, do not put your suitcase on your bed. Use the little stand that they provide, because you're less likely to carry them home with you.
Good advice.
Yeah, they.
What a great educational experience this is.
Yeah, the bed bugs are on the rise nationally, in terms, even at some very, high-end hotels can even have bed bugs.
Do they carry disease?
So bed bugs do not carry specific diseases, but they can cause bites that then can become infected with other organisms that might be present in the body. But they do not carry things like salmonella or E. coli, but those bites themselves can cause rashes, react to the bites.
There's the screaming sensation when your mother finds him in.
Yeah. Bed bugs are not fun, and although, they're not going to carry something like salmonella, they still affect people and they affect your quality of life, obviously. And there are some mitigation things that people can do for bed bugs, but really just being safe yourselves as you're traveling. And don't put your suitcase on the because that's the place the bed bugs are most most likely to be dwelling within a hotel room is the area of the bed. So,
It don't have anything to do with that. Or illegal bed bugs rise.
Now, unfortunately, bed bugs just move around from place to place.
From South America.
Well, bed bugs are actually, the bed bugs that we see are indigenous, but as people travel more, we see things spread a lot more. So we see a lot of things on the rise with travel, and we see disease spread fairly quickly throughout, even in our small communities. You've got people coming through here all the time from a variety of different places. You want to support tourism, but it also brings in the possibility of other things in the community.
Thank you, appreciate it. Any other questions from public health? Thank you very much for being here today, appreciate it very much. All right, great, all right. We are at the time, let's see, to talk about our next meeting. It's January 3rd, it seems like that's like a couple weeks away. We'll have a Merry Christmas between here and there, right? And you'll have a new leader next
I get to be the chairman.
January.
What could possibly go wrong?
So how about any public comment on any item that's under the jurisdiction, but not on our jurisdiction of the commission, but not on our agenda today? Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Anything else? Fantastic. Well, we wish you a wonderful holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, the whole bit, and we'll see you here in January.
Happy Bill Sear Day.
Yeah, Happy Bill Sear Day. We're adjourned. Thank you.